TraderCom.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to another exciting episode of The Rational Investor. I am back in my normal place. I just don't have the camera tonight. We ran late with the TRI meeting, and it was taking forever to get the camera working, and I just thought, you know what? You guys can wait one more week to see my face. One more week. You're just going to have to listen to me as a voiceless person, and remember that I am, and believe that I'm the same person. I have the chat. I'm monitoring the chat, so if you guys say anything in the chat, I will see it. I will respond, and we can kind of have a discussion about whatever you guys want to talk about. Although the main, like, you know, as you know, the main if you want to look at any altcoins or specific stocks, we do that in the after party. So do hold those off until the after party. But if you want to look at something like, if you have any other general questions, obviously I'll respond to them. And of course, it's nice when you guys say hi. Hi, Gills. See, I responded. I saw Gills' comment and I said hi. Okay. So I'm going to do my normal spiel. We're going to look at what came out with the news. Obviously, Philly Fed Manufacturing Index was pretty bad. But I don't know how useful this is because I looked at the previous reports and it's kind of all over the place. Like sometimes it's green by a lot, other times it's red by a bit, and other times it's, oops, sorry, wait. There we go. Okay. And other times it's, you know, it's kind of red. Like this was on May, and now we're at 1.3 when they expected 4.8. So not good, but I don't know how much this really affects things. While unemployment claims, I know consistently are important to watch. Like if unemployment claims continue to rise, you can expect stocks to fall. So we are at 240, while we had been consistently at about 220. So this is a concerning number. This is something you should keep an eye on every week when these come out. If this keeps going above 240, 250, that's going to be a warning sign. So that's something I'm watching closely, and it wouldn't surprise me if that started happening around now, since we hit, if we go to the S&P, and you know, I'm going to toot my own horn here a bit, because I, believe it or not, half the time I like doing these shows so then I can watch it. The reason I also keep it short is because I don't like to watch videos that are too long. Even myself. I don't want to watch myself for an hour, maximum 25 minutes, and that's at 2x speed. So I trust me, I feel for anyone who doesn't have a lot of time and wants to make the most of their time. And I respect that. So for myself, I go back and I watch my videos from the previous week before I do the new video. And last week, do you guys remember what I said about the S&P? I'm going to pull up the S&P. We're not going to look at totals. We'll do it instead of BTCD. Oops, that's not the right. Does anybody remember what I said last week about the S&P? What was my level? I said don't short the S&P yet. Don't short it. Didn't hit 5,500. And what did we do? Just the other day, we hit my magic number. See that alert? I set that 5,502. Ding, we hit it and rejected. That was the target. Target achieved. Now the question is, do we go straight down? Is it time to start hunting shorts? Well, it's in the location. So now we got to start looking for structure. There's no structure here yet. So we wait for structure. There's no divergence in RSI. I mean, we can look at lower time frames, right? It's starting to break down a little bit. You've got an 8 and 9 on an 8-hour chart. I've got to get a new mouse, by the way. This mouse, the left click, it's just not. I have to press extra hard for it to work. But you can see, look at that breakdown that's starting. This was the zone. It just tagged it. I mean, they didn't even make it obvious. They could have. They made it so obvious. They could have made it a little bit less. So in 8-hour, 12-hour charts, you're starting to see a little bit of rejection finally. The completion of this run, 4-hour chart. See on all these charts, but I want to see an M come in. I don't want to see just a quick rejection and reversal. I want to see some kind of structure. But the point is that we hit the target. Now start looking for shorts, start considering taking profits. That was a very meaningful target. And that's exactly what I'm doing. But again, you have to wait for structure. This is just the start. I want to see a bit of a distribution. We talked about last week. I said, look, back here, we don't have distribution yet. It's just gone up to new highs. I want to see some kind of price action like this. And then the big one falling over. We don't have that yet. We just tagged it. So now you can consider taking a little bit of profits and watching to see how this plays out. Maybe you come back down, you head up, you range. If this is the top, it should range for a bit. It's not going to just boop like that. It just doesn't happen like that. There's a lot of big funds that have to unload. Let's look at, I don't know what happened to my charts, guys, because I had, here we go, my global liquidity. I want to load my global liquidity chart. I actually wanted to load it in a new window, but here's my global liquidity. So let's kind of make these even and see what's going on with global liquidity. So there you go. Now they're kind of even. You can see when global liquidity pulled back, everything kind of pulled back. Actually, the stock market kind of front ran it. And then when global liquidity was pushed up, the stock market just went higher. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's kind of flatlined and almost pulled back. It's ironic that Bitcoin is not trading with the rest of the market when it was for such a long time. It's almost going through what looks like a topping process. And we can see it pulling back now, right? So you had that fake bull move, and now we've got the pullback, and we should sweep these lows. I'll get into Bitcoin. I just because I'm looking at the liquidity chart, I kind of put them together, and then I feel like I should start talking about Bitcoin because I know a lot of people are interested in it. But there is a heavy relation between stocks and Bitcoin, and I think the market has kind of. I'm gonna use this UNG chart, as my S&P. I hate that it just took over, and so then I can't have both of them. So you can see liquidity was massively boosted, and that's why you got this huge rise in stocks. I'm really surprised Bitcoin didn't follow along, but that's exactly what happened. So now it's kind of they've paused it. We've got to watch to see what happens next. I wouldn't use this as an indicator really. I think it's just an interesting metric that I like to watch. That's all. I don't think you can use this to time anything, because as you can see here, when I line it up, everything basically happens in line. So by the time you get the data, it's already happened. It's already happened. There's really no way to front run this or use this to give you any sort of edge. I just think it's useful. It's useful data. An interesting thing is that liquidity was at the highs here, similar to here, but the market was much lower, right? We were at 5,200. Now we're at 5,500. So something's going on here where it's not just liquidity being injected, and it might be market participants, retail. They're getting to be involved that they can then dump on, and they're using that to exit. And by them, I mean like hedge funds and major banks and stuff like that. Okay, so that's kind of my viewpoint on the market. We hit my target, which was 5,500. It's time to take profits and now watch for shorts. And we need market structure to consider those shorts. And I'm starting to see a bit of a breakdown here. And you could even start to put on a couple little shorts if you wanted to. I think it's risky. I would wait for more of a market structure to come in, but in general, this is when it's like, okay, start to take profits. And this applies to any stock in the S&P 500. I think they're all going to kind of follow this. Rocky, maybe watch the previous 2 or 3 shows where I showed how I came up with those targets. It's ABCD, and also I'll just do it again, but I've done it in every single show for the last couple weeks. So here's your 4.669, right? Chaos level. There's the bottom of the W, and there's the top, and here's the tag. See? Doink, right there. Easy. So that's one. And then the second one is ABCD. And you can see, and you can go back in previous shows where I talk about this and I show it. And here's our second one. Although this one's a little bit higher right there like that. This one goes to 55.30. It's not exact. Okay, sometimes it hits the 4.669 chaos level target. Other times it goes to the ABCD, which is 5,530. It'll be in the zone, give or take, 20 to 50 points. You don't have to be. The biggest thing that ruins a lot of traders is trying to be exactly right to like the 1-digit mark. It's just not going to happen. Be happy with getting 80% of the move. Don't strive for 99%. Target 90 or target 80%. That's what I would say. Don't get too greedy. Don't get too fearful. All those things. Try to stay somewhere in the middle. All right. Hopefully that helps. So you can see the market's pulling back here and pushing down. I mean, if we let's look at options expiry. I always talk about options expiry. Why is this not showing me any data? No. Max Pain. Let's see if Max Pain is working. This website's been weird lately. It's like not working anymore. I used to use it a lot, and now I just getting nothing here. I think it might be down. Whoever ran it, kind of stopped updating it. Options Max Pain. Let's see if we can find another site. I mean, this is the first one that comes up. Maybe I should start a site where all this data is pulled up, because it seems like, whoever was doing this one is not updating it anymore, and it was the only site. I mean, maybe let me turn off my blockers. Maybe it's actually the blockers. Let's see. If not, we'll move on. But I would like to see it work. Come on, work. Give me something. Yeah, it's not working. I don't know what happened. All right, well, let's see, Max Pain options. All right, check one more time. If there's any other free sites. That was my favorite site. I used that for a long time. Nifty 50. All right, let's see about this one. I don't know what Nifty 50 is. I want to see the S&P 500. Sorry, I'm just looking. Nothing here. I don't know what even this. Nifty 50 mid cap, Nifty small cap 100. That seems like some kind of weird CFD site. Yeah, whatever. All right, no Max Pain this week, guys. I'll find a new site to go over. Overnight reverse repo. I always talk about this. So you can see they've actually drained it down to about 330 at one point. Now it's 375, but this is the lowest it's been. Oops, go over here. You can see they kind of leveled off, and now they hit like a new low, which probably also explains why we're at a new high with global liquidity, because it's the reverse. So as they drain reverse repo, liquidity is considered to move higher. And as you can see, they have 300 left still that they seem to be conserving for some type of blow off top or some kind of situation. Who knows? But it's something to be aware of, that there is that excess capital is still available to be used if they want to. And it could be to push the market higher. Okay. So let's talk about, are there any stocks I want to talk about? I talked about Boeing last week. I talked about Tesla. I liked Tesla from a long perspective. If we look at Tesla again, it's kind of just flatlining, but on a weekly chart, it does look decent. But on a weekly chart, you need a lot of, this is a long-term investment. And I talk about Tesla often because of the robots that they're working on, the Optimus robots. We've talked about that a couple times. So it's kind of just flatlining here. I would expect some kind of pullback move like this, and you go back into that zone, and then you get your long opportunity somewhere down here. I'd like to see something like that. I think you need to see some kind of reversal. This is just flatlining for too long. I think there needs to be some kind of flush on both sides for longs and shorts. So maybe you get a spike, and then you get your dump, and then you get your move. But if the entire market rolls over, obviously it's not gonna matter. But that's Tesla on like a weekly chart. I'm not saying take a trade right now. I'm saying kind of wait and see what happens and see if you can get that pullback. DXY, obviously is an important one to look at. And on a weekly chart, it's kind of just been flatlined here and just waiting and waiting. But I think it looks like it wants to move higher. Right? RSI is above the midpoint, and it's consolidated down here in this range. It's created this very awkward looking W. I don't know if I'd even consider this a W because the second leg is lower than the first leg. But it looks like it's trying to move higher, and all of our RSI metrics are in the green. So that's my go signal for, okay, move higher, which is bearish for things like gold, crypto, stocks. So if the US dollar can move higher, then there's that further enforces the potential bear case for things like Bitcoin. Oh, there's that. I wanted to look at gold. Let's look at gold really quick. Let's just see what it's doing. Yeah, gold's just sitting up here on a weekly chart. It definitely broke down. You can see the breakdown if I draw the line. It tagged my original target, right? And now it's broken down, and it's just deciding, okay, well, do I want to go, where am I a bull or am I a bear now? And if the dollar is going to be a bull, it's going to be harder for the bear, for gold to be a bull also. So I need to see a move above this RSI line. If we can get that, then I think gold can move quite a bit higher up to, I think I originally said the 2,600, 2,700 region. If not, it's going to get rejected from here, and we're going to see a pullback at least to the 200-day moving average around 2,100 or so. That's where I would anticipate it moving back to. Yeah, that's gold. Silver will perform similarly. Did silver ever hit our target? The target was like 34, 35. XAGUSDT. Sorry, US. I don't know why I put USDT. I'm too used to crypto. Yeah, so the gold target hasn't been hit. But it looks more healthy than silver, honestly. So it could still go to 34, 35. It's just been consolidating. Let me see if there's a trade on gold or silver. I think the trade was down here. Sorry, guys. 29.4, 29.5. Now it's taken off a bit. I need to breach the upside here. If you can do that, you can see there's potential for a move higher. Right, like that. So gold's, silver's consolidation area. Let's see what chaos says. I mean, it only points to 32. I could even go back down to this one and you get 32.3. I don't really see a huge move here. Potential for 32. You can see it rejecting off of 2.618 already. I think that's all you might be able to hope for is the sweep of the highs, and then it kind of has its pullback. It looks like it needs that pullback, although the weekly is still strong. This is still a very positive weekly chart, so I'm a little bit conflicted. It's almost like it needs another move higher to hit that 35 target we've talked about, but at the same time, on some of these lower time frames, it doesn't look amazing. I would have much preferred longing silver down here in the 20s. I think now that you're up here in the 30s, there's not nearly as much upside. So that's my viewpoint on silver. I think I've been talking for almost 20 minutes. So let's jump into crypto. Let's switch gears, and talk about what I expect to happen with Bitcoin and the extremely destroyed altcoins. The disaster that is the altcoin landscape. I'll talk about Bitcoin first, and then we'll get into the altcoins. So Bitcoin on a weekly chart. Let's go through let's just work all the way down the time frames. All right, so Bitcoin weekly chart, right? Still holding on to that uptrend. right? We haven't, on RSI, we have not broken down. You can see here, Bitcoin is negative on every time frame except the weekly. If you look on the bottom right on my screen, see how it's still at 60? That's bullish. That says, okay, the trend is still actually bullish. But meanwhile, my trend heuristic indicator, though, we're below it. So that's saying, okay, the trend's changed to a bear. But I prefer the RSI trend, honestly, for a weekly chart. I prefer to stick to that. I think Bitcoin has to go and hold below 60K to break this weekly uptrend. That's when you're going to have a huge problem. And things would really need to reset. Let's go to a daily chart. And you can see the daily chart's bearish. And there's no question at all that this push up was a bit of a fake out. And I don't see anything here making me super bullish on Bitcoin yet. Like, this is the down trend here. They kind of did a fake out with the bounce on the 4 hour. This is a fake out. Now we're pulling back. And one scenario is we could sweep the lows, maybe go down to 64, and then we bounce and we move higher. Or we're going way down. Like, if this was your range, right, and this is the low, then you're at the 50% and you're just bouncing in that area. But ultimately, we need to go down here. 59.83 and 58 to 5900. It's kind of your zone that you're going to play in. I could even raise it and say this is your zone. But based on where I see price stopping, I think it's more accurate to use this right here. As you can see, price stopped at that 50%. So I would say these are your zones: 78.6 at 59, 850, and 58 to 59. Basically 60 to 58 would be your range. So that's where I would like to see it go, but it's potential. There's potential we don't go below this 50% or just sweeping the lows. Those are kind of your two scenarios. 1 hour chart, clear breakdown and potential for a move lower. I don't like how it looks. 2 hour, 4 hour. Yeah, the 4 hour is the only one that we saw a breakout on the other side. And this could be considered like a retest. 15-minute chart. It's just sitting down here. I don't see anything that's giving me like an indication that we're clearly going to bounce from this zone. To me, it looks like more bearishness ahead, and an opportunity to wash people out from the past month, basically. You know, they've actually already kind of done that, but I think it can take out some lows and take out anyone who's been long since the beginning of May. Basically, anyone that's been long this entire period from March. Really, most people are long from higher than 64 if they bought. So if they can bring it back down to 59, I think that'll take a lot of people out and scare a lot of people. Let's look at Bitcoin liquidations really quick. Yeah, so let me refresh this. Bitcoin. What is happening with Bitcoin? Ugh. Why is this loading so slow? Sorry, guys. What is happening with my internet? Take the shields down. Maybe that will help. All right, I don't know why it's not loading. Really wanted to talk about this. Maybe too many people are looking at it. It is a popular indicator these days. So yeah, you can see liquidations were taken, but it's not like when you got the first pullback right here and then the secondary one. See how you had the massive liquidation here at around 64, 6, but then it made a second liquidation and you kind of got that divergence. So I would like to see some kind of bigger liquidation. You can see when it's pumped, they also liquidated on that side, and now they're liquidating on the other side. It's just liquidations all over the place. People just getting wrecked nonstop. We go to lower time frames. Yeah, so you can see these are not that big of liquidations compared to back here. So I think until you see that kind of big liquidation, it's hard to get too bullish. You can see on the upside, you had the massive liquidation at basically 66. And then when it came in, there were baby liquidations. That's when you could have went short. Because, okay, now the market's probably exhausted with liquidations. Time to go to the other side to get liquidations that way. It's pretty simple, but also it's one of those things where it's obvious at first and you're like, oh, that's easy. And then once you like look at it more and more, you're like, oh, actually there's a lot more to it. And it's not as clear as I thought. Oh, this is one of those things. Yeah, I mean, everything's negative with Bitcoin except the weekly. So the question is, do we bottom here and bounce, or do we go down to the 78.6 level? I wish I had the answer to that. I guess it depends on how this candle recovers. If we stay down here, then that's a massive reversal and a very bearish sign. But if we can bounce, then obviously it doesn't matter. But you can see this huge breakdown on Bitcoin, and then things like Rune also broke down, right? It's all kind of the same. There's Rune's breakdown, right? If I go to 1 hour, see the breakdown, and it could do a bit of a reversal. So either it does this, or it does what it's doing, and then it goes down to like there. That's the two scenarios. I know that you guys prefer when I have a trade for you and it's a clear signal, but this is a very unclear market. The fact that, you know, when you look at total 3, it's almost breaking down and it's basically at the midpoint. When you see weekly RSI at a midpoint, markets are going to be like this. They're going to be very confusing and they're not going to have much of a clear trend direction. That's just what happens when you have an RSI at the 50 level. Now on the daily, things make a little bit more sense because it's down here in the 32 area. So that means that the short-term trend is likely down. Same with, you know, things like Rune and Bitcoin. Short-term trend on the daily chart. Yeah, the short-term trend looks down. But how do I phrase this? Yeah, it's just the short-term trend is down, but we have a major support here, especially on total 3 with the daily moving average. So 200-day moving average is supporting price for altcoins basically right here. Bitcoin's 200-day moving average is down here. So if it comes down to that level, that's going to be a major support also. Rune already went below its 200-day moving average. So sad. So that's why it's declined so much. I honestly wish I had some trades, but I really don't. I have a couple names I'll talk about in the after party that we can go through, that we've gone through a couple times already, just to see where they're at. Are they in good buying opportunities? Can we snatch a few up that are cheap and still keep some spare cash in case the whole market kind of rolls over? We get even cheaper prices. Something to keep in mind, that there is always the chance for things to continue to pull back more, or they totally stop and just reverse and you can miss the boat. That's why I think it's a good idea to buy in stages. So, okay, say you have $10,000, you buy 1,000 here, 1,000 there, 1,000 there, like just 10% at a time to kind of dollar cost in, because otherwise you're going to have a hard time. Let's put it that way. Well, Rune, since that one's so popular, TRI seems to have had a breakdown, but it was quite the rally here. Let me see on a 4 hour. Look at this chart. It was just 2 weeks ago, a little bit more than 2 weeks ago, it was at $7, and now it's at $4. Huge decline. I think most altcoins are down 40 to 60%. And this is no exception, and this is supposed to be considered like a strong fundamental coin, and yet it's down. So just keep in mind that because institutions have taken over Bitcoin, altcoins are the most risky thing and are going to be far, far, far more volatile than Bitcoin. So just if you're trading them and looking into it, just be aware of that. Okay, I think that's it for the daily brief, public daily brief. I think I went over what I wanted to review, and I think that we'll do the after party, and we'll review a bunch of crypto names, altcoins that I've talked about before. Some of them, well, almost all of them I've talked about before. So we're gonna review them, and any names that you guys want to look at. So as you know, in the after party, if you're a member, I will look at any altcoin, crypto, or stock names that you guys want to review, and we'll go over them. I'll give you my price targets, and we can even follow up every week to see how my predictions work out. All right, I will see you guys in the after party. If you're not a member, consider joining. Free trial, blah blah blah. But if you are, I will see you there, and I look forward to your questions. All right, bye guys.